Texas football takes on number 11 Utah in the Alamo Bowl. Men's basketball faces off against LSU Tigers in Austin, and we give you everything you need to know about Super Bowl 54. All of this and more coming up on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome to College Press Box. Thank you for joining us on your Monday evening. I'm your host, Jaxie Pidgeon, joined alongside Jake Herman. We have a packed show for you tonight. Let's start out with the New Year's Eve Alamo Bowl matchup between Texas and Utah.
It's the first show of the new decade, but we have some unfinished business from the last decade. Let's see how Texas football wrapped up their season on New Year's Eve in San Antonio. It's a much calmer year for Bevo this time around for bowl season. No mascot drama to speak of between the Texas Longhorns and the Utah Utes. First quarter, Devin Duvernay gets 40 yards on this reception, putting Texas in the red zone. But the offense had some red zone struggles early. Sam Ehlinger rolls out, and he's going to find the wrong colored jersey here, intercepted by Javelin Guidry of the Utah Utes. Both defenses pretty stout in the first half, but once we get to the third quarter, Texas offense starts to gain some traction. Keontae Ingram makes that catch for an 11-yard score, putting Texas ahead 17-3. Next red zone trip, little speed option play, gets Ingram out wide and hurdles the defender. Gets Texas inside the 20-yard line, and then next play, Sam Ehlinger working some magic with his legs as he's done so much this season. Texas goes ahead 24-3, winning that battle at the line of scrimmage. Texas defense made some plays as well. Joseph Osai makes a sack on Tyler Huntley right there, backing the Utes up, but they would eventually find pay dirt. This is Huntley dropping back, finding Damari Simpkins for a 4-yard touchdown, Utah's only touchdown of the night. That made it 24-10 early on in the fourth quarter. But from there, Texas was able to pull away and win this football game. Devin Duvernay boxes out his man, makes the catch inside the pylon, and puts Texas ahead by 3 scores. And then the final touchdown of the Texas Longhorns season belongs to Keontae Ingram as he finds pay dirt on a 49-yard rush, puts him over 100 yards for the game, and Texas wins convincingly in San Antonio. Final score of 38-10 over Utah. And for more from the Alamo Dome, here's Cameron Parker.
As the clock struck 12 and fireworks began to light up the San Antonio sky, the Texas Longhorns watched, celebrating the new year with a win.
After a frustrating decade and a disappointing 8-5 season, the Longhorns took out their frustrations against Utah in a 38-10 blowout victory over the 11th-ranked Utes. Head coach Tom Herman, quarterback Sam Ehlinger hope that this is a sign of things to come in the next decade for Texas football.
The light bulb went on as to what it takes to win at a championship level, and I'm excited to carry over those lessons into the offseason.
I think when we're healthy and we're out there having fun and playing for each other and playing mistake-free, we're really, really hard to beat. The guys that are coming back, there's a lot of young guys that have a lot of experience and are really, really good football players, so I'm very optimistic.
Of course, this wouldn't be the first time Texas fans enter the offseason optimistic. After a dominating victory over Georgia in the Sugar Bowl a year ago, Sam Ehlinger promptly announced on center stage that Texas was back. This time around, Ehlinger refrained from any such proclamations.
I don't know how to word this, but I'm not going to do that again. I'll leave it at that.
While Texas turns their sight on the 2020, the seniors playing their final game in burnt orange reflect on what they accomplished, what they didn't, and their legacy.
The ultimate goal is to win a national championship. And, we didn't do that, but we won 3 bowl games in a row. That hasn't been done here in 10 years, I think. I'm proud that I got to meet these guys and proud that I got to spend some of the best years of my life with these guys and, pour our blood, sweat, and tears every day with them. We could have broke, but the core of our class stays solid. I'm so proud of us.
Reporting live from the Alamo Dome, Cameron Parker, TSTV Sports.
Joining us now in the studio is football analyst Clark Dalton. Welcome back. Now, Clark, with Texas not finishing conference play as they had originally planned, what changed to motivate this team at the Alamo Bowl to play at the level that they showcased at the beginning of the season?
Well, you saw it at the top of the show. Plays like the sweet Keontae Ingram hurdle gave Texas momentum, which established a high-intensity level. In terms of pregame preparation, players described the bowl game process as 6 weeks of completely zeroing in on the task at hand, removing the outside noise. which brewed a complete, well-developed game plan. Additionally, the Longhorns started to return to full health, with players like Colin Johnson and Caden Stearns returning. These players are not only leaders, but they provide big-time plays that can change the course of a game. All these factors came together and gave the Longhorns their swagger back.
Right, and you mentioned Caden Stearns, so let's talk some defense. Texas's defense was up and down this past season. However, they managed to hold the Utes offense to an impressive scoreless first half in this bowl game. Which defensive players led this team to victory?
Well, once again, you have to mention Caden Stearns, but Joseph Osai was absolutely crucial. He was a beast in this game. Stearns and Osai combined for 12 tackles. Osai had 3 sacks and was named Alamo Bowl MVP. And this served as a testament to the strong season he had, making large strides, learning how to dismantle backfields, and dropping back into coverage, disrupting the passing game. This helped him become a standout in the Big 12. Caden Stearns reminded everyone that he's still the key to the secondary and one of the most promising safeties in college football. His presence simply makes it harder to throw deep across the middle of the field, as Utah only had 123 passing yards.
Right, and Osai and Stearns are both only sophomores, so they definitely have potential. And now, moving into the final question, with the help of those standout players, Texas is ending their season again on a high note. How do you think this big win over number 11 Utah will translate into next season?
Jaxie, there's still a spark of greatness in this team, and you need to add the right fuel so it can burn brighter. Now, it wasn't picture perfect because it was a 7-5 season. That being said, though, playing well against teams like LSU early and Utah proves that the foundation is still solid, but you can't keep saying next year. The time is now. So 2020 could be a turning point in the trajectory of the program. But it's like Keontae Ingram said after the postgame. Growth doesn't come in straight lines, and this team is coming. So I think there's a really good chance that this Texas team could carve a new successful legacy.
Love the positive mentality.
Yeah.
Thanks, Clark. When we come back, we will look at a Big 12 SEC basketball matchup between Texas and LSU. Stick around, you won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to College Press Box. This Sunday, the eyes of the sporting world will turn to Miami, the site of Super Bowl 54 between the Chiefs and the 49ers. To preview this game, let's head over to James Grant for this edition of Unhooked.
Yeah, guys, all eyes will be on the Chiefs quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, versus that ferocious 49ers defense ahead of Sunday's big game. And for good reason, as we take a look at some highlights of Mahomes and that Chiefs offense that's been very explosive this season. And Mahomes, he'll be facing a top 10 defense in the Niners, and we'll get to that in a second. But you can see there's obviously a plethora of weapons for the Chiefs on offense. You know, this offense, it's funny, guys, looking at it, kind of reminds me a little bit of this year's LSU Tigers offense with Joe Burrow, a guy who, you know, has that golden arm just like Mahomes. Then the weapons out there with Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Jamar Chase. And you look at, you know, the guys Mahomes has on that Chiefs offense, guys like Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Demarcus Robinson. You see Watkins right there taking it into the end zone. And these are all just really explosive receivers, great hands, great route runners, and really a great ability to get open, which is really an advantage for the Chiefs on offense, because you see on a lot of these plays how Mahomes is able to extend the play, get outside the pocket, and that's one thing that the Niners are really going to have to look out for come night, and they're really going to have their hands full. But they're going to be ready for that. And we're going to take a look here real fast again. Mahomes, this is versus top 10 defenses this year, and he'll be facing the Niners, who are the number 2 ranked defense this past season. But you see Mahomes, kind of a mixed bag there. Had some good performances against the Ravens, you know, well over 300 yards, 374 yards there. But then against the Chargers, one of the better defenses in the league, not as good. So really a mixed bag this season, but obviously lately we've seen it. Mahomes, he's turned it on when he's needed to and when his teams needed him to, and he's just been cruising lately. So the Chiefs really have all the momentum, and the Niners are definitely going to have their hands full on defense. So we're going to talk about them a little bit now. They're led up front by the Fab Four. We're talking about Dee Ford, Arik Armstead, DeForest Buckner, and number 2 overall pick in last year's NFL draft, that's Nick Bosa. Now, guys, the interesting thing on that story there with Nick Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt last year, as some of y'all might remember, and the Niners ended up going 4-12. But that gave them that second overall pick, and they were able to draft Nick Bosa. And while a lot of people were saying, obviously, they were upset that Jimmy G went down and it turned into a very poor season, getting Bosa ended up being a big addition to that Niners team. And you see the impact he's been having this year as he goes in there on Aaron Rodgers for the sack in the NFC Championship game a little over a week ago. So that, like I said, the Fab Four up front, and Buckner, Bosa, Armstead, and Ford, they'll be ready to go, ready to get after Mahomes. Then when you look the back end, in the middle of that defense, I should say, the linebackers, the linebacking core, you got Dre Greenlaw and Quan Alexander on the outside, and they're really always ready to get after opposing offenses. These guys are explosive. They got a good first step. They're really able to read offenses really well. And guys, Quan Alexander from LSU, they come from good backgrounds, played in good defensive sets in college. So they'll definitely be looking to contain that Damian Williams, Mahomes, Kelsey, all those guys on that Chiefs offense and whatever Kansas City throws at them come Sunday night. And then last of all, the secondary veterans, Richard Sherman and Jimmy Ward, they're anchoring that solid secondary that the Niners possess. And those guys will be looking to get turnovers, try to frustrate Tyreek Hill, Robinson, Watkins, some of those guys, and one-on-one coverage on the outside. So really that Niners defense at pretty much every level, they're built to contain the explosiveness of some of these upper echelon offenses, we'll say, like the Chiefs. And we're going to go ahead and we'll look at the stat. We decided to do some digging and look at how the 49ers perform. We had looked at how Mahomes did against top defenses. Now we're looking at how the Niners have done versus top 10 offenses. Kansas City, actually the number 6 overall offense this past season. So the Niners, they're going to have their hands full, but as you see on there, again, a mixed bag. They early on in the season went to Tampa Bay and really held Jameis Winston in check. He had a pretty good year despite the interceptions, but an impressive performance there nonetheless. The one to me that stands out, y'all, is that game at the Ravens earlier this year. They were able to contain Lamar Jackson and that explosive Ravens offense to a little under 300 yards, which not many people were able to do. And so you see what they're capable of. Again, you see the Rams there toward the end of the year. They went on the road to L.A., took care of business, only gave up 165 total yards. That Rams offense, Jared Goff, Brandon Cooks, Todd Gurley, all those guys, we know how explosive they are. Cooper Kupp, 165 yards. That's not bad, and only 1 touchdown. So, again, similar to Mahomes, first top defenses, the Niners first top offensive, they've had their highs and lows. So this Sunday, of course, it's the biggest game of the year, and so I know they're hoping to play one of their better, if not their best, defensive games coming up. So I'm expecting a really tight game between these two teams, y'all. I think the line has been at 1.5, and I think that's pretty much right on the money. I think it could come down to the final possession, this one, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone on that Niners defense, talking about Nick Bosa getting to Mahomes, the quarterback, Richard Sherman, one of those guys in the secondary, possibly getting a big interception, maybe a pick six late, is able to make a game-changing play. And then, of course, Mahomes, we know if he has the ball, toward the end of the game, what that could mean for the 49ers couldn't be good news. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. Maybe we'll get the TSTV fam together for a little Super Bowl party, but we hope everybody out there enjoys the game. I'm going with the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a good one. So, Jaxie, back to you.
Thanks, James. When we come back, we will look at an NBA icon, Kobe Bryant. Stick around.
Welcome back. Yesterday, the sports world mourned the loss of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna Bryant, and 7 other passengers who died in a helicopter crash in Calabasas, California.
During his career with the Lakers, Bryant won 5 NBA championships. He was an 18-time All-Star and a 2-time scoring champion, among many other achievements. As the youngest player ever drafted in the NBA at age 18, he quickly became one of the league's most recognizable and innovative stars, whose Mamba mentality transcended the game of basketball.
As both a fierce competitor and a loving parent, Bryant had plans to continue to grow the game of basketball, as well as continue his coaching legacy by coaching his daughters. The sports world over the last 24 hours expressed their thoughts and experiences with Kobe Bryant on social media to offer their condolences. Here's what a few Longhorns had to say. Mo Bamba tweeted out that, "I'll never forget Kobe telling me that it's okay to put all your eggs in one basket, but you better watch that basket," adding, "Rest in peace, Mamba." Another Texas basketball alumni, LaMarcus Aldridge, went on to tweet that, "I'll miss a great person on and off the court. You always took the time to show my kids and family love, and I'll never forget that." Aldridge, of course, had a career that overlapped with Kobe Bryant in the NBA. And finally, former football coach Mack Brown tweeted that Kobe was one of the most competitive athletes, one of the greatest and most competitive athletes ever to play sports. My heart goes out to his wife, his other 3 daughters, and the other families.
The Altobelli family was also tragically lost in yesterday's crash. John Altobelli was the Orange Coast College baseball coach since 1992 and was just named National Coach of the Year this past August by the American Baseball Coaches Association. Altobelli was a good friend and college roommate of Texas baseball coach David Pierce. Pierce on Twitter said, "I saw Alto earlier this month when he accepted his national award. His impact in the baseball community was incredible. He changed the lives of countless ball players. He, Carrie, and Alyssa will be missed by so many, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about, making teammates, players, coaches, co-workers, friends, and family. That Alto did just that." Right now, we are struggling with the tragedy of losing Kobe, a sports icon of epic proportions, his daughter Gianna, Coach Altobelli, and the other precious lives that were lost. But ultimately, we will focus on celebrating the incredible legacies each of them left behind.
Now, here are a few words from basketball coach Shaka Smart earlier this morning.
There's a ton of things that are impressive about him, but I think at the top of the list is just his standard, the standard that he had for himself, for his teammates, and it was an unwavering standard that centered around one thing, winning. And again, in terms of following an example, I don't think there's a better guy to follow. I think one thing it did, Brian, is it got our guys in an aggressive frame of mind. I thought Donovan Williams particularly was good in the press. You know, his length and aggressiveness. Right now,
Texas women's basketball extended their winning streak to 4 games after defeating Oklahoma State in Stillwater on Saturday night. The Longhorns trailed by 8 at the end of the third quarter before rallying to a 61-56 victory. Sophomore Charlie Collier led the team with 14 points, including a perfect 4-for-4 mark from three-point range. The team improved to 13-6 overall and 5-12 thus far in the Big 12. 5-2 in the Big 12. They will look to keep that going this week against the last 2 teams they've yet to face in the conference, those being Oklahoma and Baylor.
This past weekend, Texas men's tennis competed in the ITA kickoff weekend here in Austin at the Texas Tennis Center. Saturday was their home opener, where they took on the Indiana Hoosiers and swept them 4-0. Their big Saturday win lead led them to compete in Sunday's championship match, where they took on number 21 Florida State. They also had another 4-0 sweep against Florida State, which qualified them for the ITA National Indoor Championship for the 3rd straight season. This year's ITA Indoors will be held in Madison, Wisconsin from February 14th to 17th.
Well, it was a good weekend all around for Longhorn tennis because the women's tennis team did not drop a match either this weekend. They swept Iowa without losing a single set in their home opener before sweeping LSU on their second day of ITA kickoff weekend action. They advanced to the ITA National Indoor Championship, where they'll play next weekend in Chicago from February 7th to 10th.
Texas baseball will host its annual Fan Appreciation Day and Alumni Game this Saturday, February 1st at Dish-Fall Field. Fan appreciation events will start at 10:30 a.m. and consist of autograph sessions and base running for kids. Following the festivities, the alumni are expected to play 4 innings with current players of the baseball team. This year's Texas team will face off against each other for the remaining innings. Notable alumni that will be present are Washington Nationals catcher Trace Barrera, Toronto Blue Jays prospects Casey Clemens and Andy McGuire, along with 9 other professional players.
Texas softball team announced that during their March 25th game against UT Arlington, there will be a ceremony to retire the number 8 in honor of legendary pitcher Kat Osterman. She becomes the first UT softball player to have her number retired after posting 7 perfect games, an ERA of 0.51, and 2,265 strikeouts during her illustrious UT career. Osterman is currently training for the Tokyo Olympic Games, where she'll be pitching for Team USA.
Number 4 Texas Track and Field competed its first split squad weekend of the season at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Invitational in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the John Thomas Terrier Classic in Boston, Massachusetts. Between the 2 meets, the Longhorns won 5 individual events, 1 relay, and broke 3 school records. Junior Micaiah Harris and senior Catherine Gillespie were responsible for the first 2 records on Friday. Harris beat the men's 200-meter dash mark, and Gillespie broke the women's mile record by more than 4 seconds. Their next meet will be the Razorback Invitational this Friday and Saturday in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Now it's time for our segment where we go over this week in Longhorn sports. Here are some upcoming games for the Texas Longhorns. On Tuesday, the women's basketball plays at Oklahoma. That game will be at 7 p.m. on Fox Sports Oklahoma. On Wednesday, the men's basketball team visits TCU in Fort Worth at 7 p.m. You can watch that on ESPN+. On Friday, the track and field team is competing at the Razorback Invitational through Sunday. Women's tennis is playing at home against NC State. And women's basketball takes on Baylor at 6 p.m. That game can be found on FS1. And on Saturday, the men's basketball team hosts Iowa State at 1 p.m. on the Longhorn Network. And the baseball alumni game Jaxie mentioned will be on at 3:30 p.m. also on LHN.
And that wraps up our show for tonight. From all of us here in the studio and everyone in Master Control, thank you for joining us on your Monday night. Be sure to tune into College Crossfire on Wednesday nights for the best sports debate on 40 acres, and on Friday mornings for our newest show, 1-0 Sports. Until then, I'm Jaxie Pidgeon alongside Jake Herman. Have a great night.